We've been receiving a lot of calls about our services as a property management company. Some of the questions that we receive are similar. A lot of owners, when they're searching for a property management company, they're just looking at what the management fee is. Do not do this, because you may get a company that's offering 5% of rent received as their property management fee, and you will have tenants that hate living in your house. There are even property management companies that never look at your property, and they're trying to tour the property in the beginning. What we do here at Real Property Management Luxury is we tour or visit every property quarterly. We do an in-depth inspection every quarter, because you don't want the tenant to move out and then you find all these major problems that you didn't know exist. Your house, if it's taken care of properly, you will gain value in the long run, and you're gonna have great tenants that want to live there, and you're gonna have money coming in every month, and that's what you want. This is High-End Homes Handled Right, the Real Property Management Luxury Podcast. We've been receiving a lot of calls about our services as a property management company. Some of the questions that we receive are similar, and sometimes, I would say oftentimes, there are questions that we just don't get. And as a property manager, I always wonder, do they know what they're really looking for? Sometimes as an owner, you're looking at, I have to receive X amount of money for my rent. And if I have a property management company, I have to deduct Y. And that amount of money is what I'm looking for. So a lot of owners, when they're searching for a property management company, they're just looking at what the management fee is. I will tell you, do not do this. Do not do this. Because you may get a company that's offering 5% of rent received as their property management fee, and you will have tenants that hate living in your house. You will have tenants that are unhappy. Maintenance is not being taken care of. Their calls aren't being answered. And you may end up now having a tenant that wants to break their lease, which is going to cost you money, or a tenant that doesn't want to renew, which is going to cost you more money. And once again, when I say more money, we're talking about the money it will cost for you to get that property back on the market. If a tenant also decides that they are not being taken care of and they want to break their lease, now you've got to take them to collections, and then maybe it's going to be a legal battle. You do not want problems like this. So here are some steps and things to think about when you're looking for a property management company. Number one, go to Google. Everybody loves looking at Google reviews. This is a real good sign to see what other people have thought about this property management company. Do they get great reviews? Are these reviews saying the same thing? Is there a difference between the reviews? It's a really good sign of what the property management company is about. The second thing I would question is, what do you do differently than other property management companies? And why I say this, almost all property management companies, they collect rent, they may say they do maintenance, but what else can they offer you? Is there something different that property management company A does than property management B does? When you find that out, write it down, and then use that to compare to the next company. The third thing I would always ask is, how often are you going to visit my property? Some big property management companies have so many properties that they don't have time to go and look at every property. There are even property management companies that never look at your property. They may go when they're trying to get your business and they're trying to, tour the property in the beginning, but there are some property management companies that don't go to the property after that. So imagine you're living in California and you have a property in Houston, and you're thinking that, the landscape is being taken care of, the property looks good, and then you find out that's not the case. So what you want a property management company that goes out of their way to do inspections and to tour. As our property management company, or what we do here at Real Property Management Luxury, is we tour or visit every property quarterly. We do an in-depth inspection every quarter. Every month, we look at every property and we do an external look. The reason we do this is we don't want to be, in the lives of the tenant. We don't want to constantly be at the house, but, by driving by every month, we get to see if the landscape is being taken care of. And the quarterly inspections helps us to really gauge what that property looks like every quarter, because you don't want the tenant to move out and then you find all these major problems that you didn't know exist. And then they're saying, oh, I moved here and this is what the house looks like when I moved in here. But now, by having some type of historical data, you can tell what the property looks like over time. And you can also tell how they're living in your house, and which I think you should actually know. Another thing that I would really pay attention to is maintenance. How do they deal with maintenance? Do they have an in-house maintenance team? Do they have vendors that they can ask and call? And I would ask them, what happens if you get a call on the weekend? I mean, that probably is one of the major reasons why a lot of homeowners that are managing their own properties, they tend to say, I don't want to do any of this anymore, because of that call that comes through on a Sunday at 1:00 in the morning, or it's Thanksgiving and you get a call that there's a sewer backup. Oh, nobody wants to deal with this. Nobody wants to deal with this as a property owner. So if the management company is taking care of your property, you need to know, do they have a team ready and available to really fix these issues as they occur? The next question I would ask is, do you have a team? Do you have a team that can answer calls when you receive them? Maybe, if someone is calling, will there be someone to answer the call at all times? That's another big one. And I would end with this. The biggest question, or the biggest thing I would look for, is how do they communicate with you? When you were looking for a property management company, I'm sure you called many companies, many phone numbers. How many of those people actually called you back? How many of those companies did you go get sent a voicemail? And which is fine. Companies and property management companies, they're busy. So you may go to voicemail, but did they answer your call? And if they answered your call and you did have a conversation, did they follow up with an email? This is huge. When we coach property management companies and owners of property management businesses, we often tell them the biggest thing for you to do is answer your phone. That is number one. That is the number one. If you want to grow as a property management company, answer your phone. So that's the same thing as you're looking for a property management company, you're a homeowner, make sure that when you call, the company that you're choosing is a company that actually answered their phone. When they answer their phone, how did they communicate? Did they say they were going to send you a follow-up email? Did you ever receive that follow-up email? This may seem very trivial and very small, but trust me, this can go a long way, because later on, let's say you choose that property management company and you have an issue maybe of receiving payment, or maybe you have questions about the property. You want to be able to know that as soon as you call them, someone is going to answer your call and you're going to have your questions answered. Because once again, you did not want to manage this property. That's why you're shopping for someone to do it for you. You don't want to have to be in your bed in the middle of the night worrying about this property. You need to feel comfortable that you're having someone there that's being diligent and taking their time to take care of the property for you. So make sure that all these steps I've talked about, these are the basic things that you need to look for. Once you have all these questions answered, then you can kind of nitpick and you can compare the management fee. You can compare about other fees that they're charging. But first, get the basics. In regards to fees, you may see some property management companies charge, obviously, the management fee. They may charge an admin fee. They may charge a setup fee. Find out what these fees are and why you're paying them. There are many property management companies have different fees, but yes, they are important. As a property management owner, I know that, it takes a lot of work to lease your property. It takes a lot of work to get a lease signed. It takes a lot of work to get a renewal signed. It takes money to get, you put into our portal, which is, access for you to be able to view it and your tenants to be able to view it. All that work happens in the back end. So, of course, there's going to be a fee. Don't harp on it, but compare the fees and find out what's going to be better for you financially. I do understand that the goal for you most likely is to gain some revenue off the home as well as it being taken care of. I do get that, but you really want to make sure that the house is taken care of, and you think about that first. Your house, if it's taken care of properly, you will gain value in the long run. It's going to gain its value if it's taken care of. And you're going to have great tenants that want to live there. And you're going to have money coming in every month, and that's what you want. So I think that's probably more important than worrying about, a setup fee or an admin fee or something like that. Really think about the type of service you're getting. I think about this, when people question prices, I say, when you go into a Mercedes-Benz dealership, you're expecting the price to be probably higher than, let's say, if you went to a Toyota dealership or if you went to a Ford dealership. If you go into a Mercedes-Benz dealership, you're there for quality, and you're going to end up paying for that quality. So that's the same thing with some property management companies. I mean, if you're a high-tier property management company, your prices may be higher because what type of service that you provide. So as an owner looking for a property management company, look for a company that is going to treat that house with that white glove, just making sure that everything is taken care of, making sure your property is taken care of as if it was their own. That's the best way to go at it. And that's the best way for you to be able to sleep better at night and not worry about those calls coming through on Thanksgiving night or at midnight. Once again, this is High-End Homes Handled Right, the Real Property Management Luxury Podcast. Have a great weekend, and thank you for stopping by.